about critical thinking. Now, why do we need to, talk about the topic at all? Mainly, the idea is that you all just tell me if you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see
Yes,
my
ma'am.
screen?
It's visible. Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
So, the idea is to build opportunities for students to find connections in learning. Now, some of us, not all of us, some of us might still belong to the old school of thought that, we come, tell the children to open the text, we read the text, we discuss the question answers, we discuss some of the key points, vocabulary, and that's the end of it. Some of us, I'm not saying all. But if you're aware, CBSEs are trying to change the entire curriculum and is trying to direct it into more of an activity based learning. And if you're aware of Bloom's taxonomy, how many of you are aware of Bloom's taxonomy? I'll take it up in the next session anyway. Okay, once again. So we all know Bloom's taxonomy leads to the final part is the creation. How does a child apply all that he has learned, and how does he learn to create something from that? Okay, and how does he think? So even in our comprehensions and in our text, we've, like, at least now at DAV, and if some of you have been trying to do that, please share. We've been trying to ask the students, based on personalization of the text, alternate endings. You can note these points. Personalizing the text, okay, which means if you were so and so, like if I take up the chapter Tarot's Reward, okay, if you were Tarot, yeah, how do you think you would have helped your father, right? To bring about strength of character, where they need to understand that parents are very important and we need to respect their wishes and try to make them as comfortable as possible. So that is a moral value-based education, right? Respecting one's parents. That is the reason the emperor rewarded him. And then what is the personalized question? If you were in Tarot's place, how do you think you would have helped your father, right? That makes it personalized. So the child starts thinking in terms of he being the protagonist and how he would have taken the story forward, right? So that gives him a strength of character. Secondly, you ask him open-ended questions. What would have happened if the sake had been given to the villagers also? Do you think the villagers deserved it? Was it right that the villagers didn't get it? You can ask him certain questions based on the text. I'm just taking an example. Okay. So interaction with the students based on these points of one, I said personalizing the text. Two, I said open-ended questions. You can even ask them alternate headings. Do you think you can, give this text a better title? Or do you think the title justifies the, story? The story's name is, what is the name of the story? Tarot's Reward. Do you think he actually deserved a reward? Did he do something that great? Or as sometimes children say, oh, it's taken for granted, parents take care of us, we take care of parents, what is the big deal about it? So you can make it sound very important in life for the child to understand why is it important to, take your parents at that level where even God has to come down to help you if you're really doing something to enhance, help them and enhance their quality of living, right? So that's what the lesson talks about. Did you understand the context which I'm telling you all this in? Is there any
Yes,
issue?
ma'am. Class 6.
Yeah. Any doubt?
No.
Yeah. So you could probably now that I'm telling you the way to do it, you could probably come up with some text which you have in mind. Tarot is my favorite, so I took it up. Anything that you relate to. Can any of you share anything? I'll give you time to think. There's no hurry. Even tomorrow you can do it, but think about it. The idea is for us to take critical thinking in our system, in our lesson plans, in our way of teaching, so that we transfer that knowledge to our students, right? If we don't do it, our students will never learn it. Our job does not end in just opening the textbook, like I said, delivering the text, reading the story, discussing the answers, and that's about it. That is a very obsolete old way of teaching. Today's way and the students, how they are, the generation demands, and as per the CBSE rule, they demand all this. Okay, so I've asked about open-ended questions. I've discussed interaction. Ask them their experiences. Is there any time when they've really helped their parents in any way? Yeah. There was a child who came up to me and said, ma'am, during the COVID time, my entire family was in one room because they all got COVID. I was the only one who didn't. So I had people sending food. I had to put it in disposable plates and push it down from the door. I was not allowed to go in. So imagine that child's state. So our children have gone through a lot, most of them a lot during COVID. So it's not only this phase. Overall, also they have their own journeys. We don't know what their personal life is all about. Okay, we don't have to get into that, but we have to make them aware that talking to parents in a particular way, in a respectful way, helping them out, making them comfortable should be the soul of their life, right? And then go on with their lives, right? So allow reflection time. Please talk to them and ask how they felt about the story. One child literally cried in my class when he read this story. Literally cried. He was very sensitive. And, we never know how each child takes it. So allow the story to seep in and ask them questions. Initiate silent reading. All that Sarla ma'am will be taking up when we do the prose. This is just to enhance critical thinking, right? So use real life problems. Like just now I told you about COVID. Talk to them and ask them how they've been coping in the last 2 years and even before that. Some could be having some medical issues, some behavioral issues, or some of the parents are working, so they might have a lack in communication, or might have a lack in developing a rapport with their parents. So help them bridge that gap through this story, right? So that's your role as a teacher. So they think about it and they incorporate all those ideas into their lives, right? So that is what critical thinking is all about. Thinking about it, analyzing it, and incorporating it, then applying it in their real life. Okay, if they ever have such a dilemma. Allow for thinking practice. So this is very important. Give them time to think. We sometimes in our pursuit of, finishing the portions, finishing our work, we sometimes overlook certain aspects. So this slide is just to make you more aware, to substantiate the video, okay, which I'll again resend because of some teachers who might not have seen it being a holiday. And this is going to be a part of your pre-reading material. I'll give it in bits and pieces, maybe every day. I'll try as far as possible and try my best to make it interesting and short. I don't want you to spend more than half an hour on this activity. So more of activity oriented, something which is practical and which you will be able to incorporate in your teaching methodology. Is that fine? Give me a good big thumbs up if they're all with me. Yes? Are you all fine with that? Yes? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
So the font I'm trying to increase. Can you all see the font now? Observation, analysis, inference, communication, and problem solving. So these are the 5 levels of critical thinking. I will send this PPT in the group right away so that you can, I'm not able to zoom it. I'm trying to zoom it. It was possible yesterday, but I don't know why. Are you all able to read the tiny font down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Okay. So anyway,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, even if you're not, I'll just read it out loud for you. So the main idea behind it is that we all understand that today's generation thinks in a very different way. Okay, they don't think like how we used to, and they don't like to be snubbed. So if a child is trying to ask you something, even if you don't know the answer, please tell him you will come back to it. Okay, and try to tell him the answer, give an appropriate reply whenever possible. Okay, so the ability to notice and predict opportunities, problems, and solutions, that is observation. So if the child comes up with some observation, please try to encourage him and then ask him what could be the possible answer. Okay, and then extract it out of him and analyze if he's telling the right thing and go on with it. Okay, so we must encourage observation in the child. Tell him to, based on the context, based on the text, based on your grammar concept, ask him to observe the pattern, okay, of the text. This is how we can put it in the context of our subject. Then analyze, okay, the gathering, understanding and interpreting of data or any other information. Now data could be the text which you have. I'm also going to give you a couple of activities which will help you enable this analysis bit better. Okay. So then comes your inference of what the child has understood after analyzing. Okay. And he's trying to conclude something based on the relevant data. And also the information he's trying to, find out how better he can understand it. So help him do that. If they come up with certain questions, we all know how to filter those and help them draw an inference based on the text. I'll elaborate that as and when we go on with the textual part of it. And then communication is very important. Some of us don't feel the need to communicate, which is wrong. We must communicate and establish a connection with the text and help the students understand it better and think about it better. We can give them some questions on which they need to reflect on. Okay. The idea is that they are able to take any kind of problems in their life, in their personal or in their professional life in a seamless way. They don't feel stressed out. The idea is in today's world, they have so much to do as they grow up that they feel stressed out and some of them just break down. When they develop this critical thinking skills, these skills will definitely help them, equip them and empower them to face all their issues as they grow. You understand? That's the reason why CBSE has introduced this very important skill in which is to be incorporated in our curriculum. Okay. If there's any other doubt or you want me to deal with it in a detailed way, I will do it in the monthly meeting as well. Okay. For now, I'll leave you with this and go on to my next part of the session, which is improving listening skills. Now, I have a PPT on that, but before that, I want you to do this activity with me, okay? I'm going to be sharing a listening skills audio with you, okay? It is not got any major pictorial information. It's just that you have to see the data like I just told you and try to see what the speaker is telling us. And if possible, just frame 3 sentences which you would like to ask your students based on this listening skill. Okay. You see, as teachers, if you are able to, I'm sure you'll be able to, formulate 3 questions based on this data. Now, why I've chosen this particular data is that CBSE again wants us to give them these kind of questions based on some sort of a data available. Okay, it could be a bar graph on any topic which you take up in the comprehension. It could be a pie chart. It could be any sort of pictorial representation of any information that the topic demands and ask them questions based on it. So this has to become an integral part of your assessments. Okay, are you with me? Are you all able to understand what I'm trying to tell you? So
Yes,
this,
ma'am.
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
this will help you do that. You can even use this if you want. I'll post it in the group. Anyway, all my material I'll be posting in the group. You can use this with your children as well. Okay. For us, it might sound very easy, but for them to understand, comprehend, and analyze and put the data and streamline it into question-based technique might be a little difficult. Okay, but they will be able to do it. They find it very interesting to do it in a nice way. So listen to this. I'll just let me
First,
know.
you'll see an image and hear a question.
1
Next
minute.
comes
1
a
minute.
short.
Yeah. Are you all able to
English
hear?
listening skills.
Can I enlarge it?
First, you'll see an image.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yeah.
Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end.
There's a weather forecast on. What will the weather be like in the upcoming week? Here is the weather forecast for the upcoming week. The first half of the week will be mostly sunny with a chance of occasional cloudy skies. In the second half of the week, we will see overcast skies with scattered thunderstorms. As the weather takes a turn for the worse around midweek,
Listen to it.
eastern parts of the city are most likely to be affected by these storms. High temperatures throughout the week will be about the same as last year's average, which was 65 degrees. However, early in the week, the highs will be upper 60s.
Yeah. So can anybody answer that? Was anybody able to follow what they said? Anyone wants to answer? You can try.
40 degrees.
Okay, fine. Let's see.
There's a weather forecast
The rest of you, please mute yourself.
in the upcoming week. Here is the weather forecast for the upcoming week. The first half of the week,
Did you get it right? I hope you left.
So, see, the idea behind this was to make you understand how important it is to listen properly. Sometimes we just hear and don't comprehend, right? So, listening skills, the LSRW skills, which we are going to talk about in these sessions, is mainly about analyzing the data and trying to figure out what they're trying to tell us. The crux of the information was the weather forecast and how to comprehend and analyze the data, right? So when we listen carefully, now this happens with our students as well. Sometimes our 100% concentration is not there. Sometimes we fail to understand what the speaker is saying, maybe because of a native accent. Sometimes we just hear it thinking that, oh, we won't be tested on it, right? So when we are talking to our students, we have their 100% attention and we must ensure that they are with us. That is why I stopped the video in between and asked you a couple of questions, right? This is the same way. In the same way, you can also capture your students' attention when you are presenting any listening skill to them. You could use the same video. I'll be very happy. You can do it the minute school reopens. And, the first 2-3 days, they are in that mood where they're not very, open to textbooks and studies, right? You can use that time to enhance their LSRW skills through these kind of small activities, right? So this was not to test your knowledge or your listening skill. It was just to tell you how you could do that with your students. Fine? Right? You found that useful? You can use it. You're free to use it. I'll post it in the group, right? Should we go on to the next activity and try to frame 3 sentences? You can listen to it again today. No issues. I'm not playing again because of the paucity of time, okay? Today we spent a lot of time in introduction and getting everybody inside the meeting. So tomorrow hopefully it'll be a better smooth sailing, okay? So the next one which I want to show you is the PPT which I have on improving listening skills, which some of you maybe have seen it because of the previous sessions, but this mainly for the teachers who are joined us today and are coming with us for the first time. And the ones who have seen it, take it as a recap. We always need one, okay? So I'll just start with how to improve listening skills, right? So they're very, very simple rules, nothing that you haven't been doing. It's just like a recap and a reinforcement of ideas, okay? So I'll also, today's reading material will again have one video, okay, which you have to listen to and see. Again, you can use that video for your students and even pick up more videos and share them in the group. I'll be very happy if you share some more of those kind of videos so that all of us benefit from each other's, learnings. So you must encourage your students to look at you so that eye contact is very important. Unfortunately, in the online setup, it's a little difficult, but offline, please try and do that, okay? Please talk to them and have that one-to-one connection, okay? This gives them a habit that the teacher is watching, and it gives them the habit of, giving their full attention to what's being said. So, unlike us, unlike us, like when some of us are there physically, but sometimes we are not able to connect with them, right? Try to be with them and get their full attention with your eye contact. Then while reading aloud, make the activity more interactive. This is again based on the critical thinking level only. Okay, ask them interactive questions on if they've understood what you're trying to tell them. Don't wait till the end of the video. Like you saw me, I stopped in between and asked you a couple of questions. So make sure that each of those students who you're addressing to is listening to intently and able to comprehend, okay? And ask them questions like, what do you think will happen next? They will start thinking, okay? Ask your child to explain their answer to see how they've been listening. Even if their grammar is not correct, don't snub them. As long as they've understood the concept, it's fine, okay? If they haven't been listening, avoid criticizing, okay? And instead aim to get them into a fun habit of predicting what will happen next. We have to keep the class decorum and the discipline intact. You can give maybe a couple of children a chance one day, and then for the next topic, some other children, okay? Ask them for volunteers. Who will volunteer? That's how I do it. I'll ask them, I need 3 volunteers. For today, for this text, you will do that work, okay? And ask them what they learned and how they can put it in a better way. Some of you might remember, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what if the same child volunteers for the
Try to
volunteer their time?
don't be rude, but try to bring others also. It happens with us, with the best of us, because some of them are so enthusiastic and we don't like to curb it. So tell him, okay, you got a chance. Probably next time I'll call you again. I want these children, and you help these children if they're not able to answer.
Actually, the slow ones hesitate to volunteer, right? So how could we bring them forward?
Yeah, so call them your star learners. I think you missed my session on slow learners yesterday. Yeah? I also missed you because I wanted to input. So I call them my star learners and I tell them today only these 3 stars will tell. So, they immediately, if you call them, because see, they're tired of being hearing, they've been hearing this on and off that we are not able to do, we are failures, we need to hurry up, we need to understand, we need to. So all those to-do list is there in their head, but nobody's ever called them star learners. They all call them slow learners, right? We all call them like that.
Yes, ma'am.
So call them out, give them that importance, connect with them. You will see the spark in their eyes and how well they listen to you after that. I've tried. This is a tried and tested formula. Yeah.
Fine.
Say you say only these children will answer. I want my star boys to shine. Okay. And my sun and the moon and the other stars, planets to keep quiet. You will see a difference in their attitude only. Right? I'll take up another session on slow learners. Once again, I'll repeat. Was there anybody with me in the last session when we did about slow learners here? I think Kantimati ma'am was there.
I was there, ma'am.
Bharti ma'am, who was there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you remember how we dealt with that? It's
Yes,
a proper 1 hour session, Naveen ma'am. I'll definitely get back with that. Yeah.
Yes,
Or you
ma'am.
can,
yes.
yeah, I'll deal with that if we have time. We have time.
Mm.
Today we lost a lot of time in settling down. I'll try to
Mm.
incorporate that at least for 15 minutes in my next session, right? That's a very, very important topic that you've brought up. Okay, so if they haven't been listening, which she's referring to the slow learners only, call them your star boys and say, I'm going to ask, you can even threaten them at times. It works. That I can ask anyone to repeat or to take up from where I've stopped. If you're not able to, you'll be in trouble. You can bring about that point also for the naughty ones. But for the slow learners, be gentle because they are already very tensed. So try to help them by coming out of their shell, okay, in this way.
Sure,
Fine.
sure, ma'am.
So avoid criticizing. That's something that puts them off and it scares them. Okay. Instead, make it a fun habit. Okay. So I'll share this slide. If there's any doubt, you can always ask me. Games like simple games like Simon says, uh, do this. You can put in a list of activities that you want them today. And Simon says is a very age-old game. I'm sure you also played. Okay, Simon
Chinese whisper.
Chinese Whisper, Simon Says, all these games will be playing along. Okay. So make it into a help your student, these kind of games help your students build listening comprehension skills in a fun way and rewarding way. Okay. You can make up your own listening games also, like Chinese Whisper ma'am said. Okay. For example, ask your students to find objects around their class by giving them verbal instructions. So they're listening. Okay. There is a pen behind the table. Check out what is there inside your desk. So, these kind of words, instructional phrases and words will help them to listen to you and they won't go behind or they won't go in front if you ask them behind. So it kind of, helps them with the comprehension bit also. Fine. So try to do those kind of fun activities in the class
Even
sometimes.
grammar is
Yes,
fulfilled.
Correct. When we deal with grammar, how many activities we've shared, no, ma'am? And
Yes,
this is a favorite, I
Yes,
think,
ma'am.
for all of us. I think
We
when I,
already implement this game for preposition now, ma'am.
so I can see that spark in your eyes now. I think all of us love this activity. And
Yes.
if time permits,
Yes,
I'll try to
ma'am.
do it tomorrow. Okay. And this is like a very good activity, which if we play, you'll understand it better. It's about, picking up a sentence and asking the children to imagine and carry the tale forward, carry the story forward. Okay. And you can put them in groups and do it at a time when even if they make a little noise, it doesn't matter. Maybe in the lunch break, you can make your breaks also more productive. Okay, tell them this is your topic. Give them some other topic to another group. Like I can tell you,
Channel surfing.
you remember, ma'am? Correct. So sweet of
Yes.
you. Yeah. So you can even tell them I saw UFO, and this is what happened. This is what I saw, or I was going in the like here it is an example. Once upon a time there was a bear who lived in a cave. So then what happened? What happened to the bear and what happened to the other animals? So they love because they're all so full of ideas, but we never give them a chance to open up because we're so busy, trying to complete our portions. So these kind of activities really help them and they enjoy because nobody is judging them, right? So you can jot these down. Anyway, I'll be sharing the PPTs also. You can always refer, whenever you want to. So place an emphasis on common speech signals. Help your child listen out for important cues by placing an emphasis on the common speech signals when you talk. These good words include, say, see, my children, in fact, all the children generally have this very, typical words which they have a comfort level with, like then, or and. You will see that pattern in their writing skills also. And then this happened and they'll keep fidgeting with something or the other, right? We face that very often. So you could write these words on the board and say you can incorporate these words as you're talking. So now the bear was very angry, or whatever they're trying to tell. And next this happened, and finally they came to know. These kind of phrases will help them formulate their language skills in a better way. You're talking about LSRW, right? These are the language skills. So you can give them some helpers to carry their thoughts forward. instead of then and which are which are the very comforting words, and these are the words they're likely to use, right? So introduce them to more of such words. Fine. Next time or previously, those kind of words help them assimilate their thoughts in a better way, right? So help your child build their vocabulary, which is again very important. We've had another session, whole session on how to build vocabulary. So it's going to take a lot of time and effort. But then in our monthly meetings, I have been doing these. If anybody remembers, I had asked you to jot down a number of ideas like matching the word to the meaning initially, and then picking up words from any text or any storybook or any article, anything that they've read, using those words in their skills, which is very important because that's the whole idea. And once they use, you please identify and give them some brownie points, make the class clap for them or ask them to read out those sentences where they've used, those new words. So it really encourages other students also, right? So this is about listening. If any of these subtopics you want me to take up in detail, like slow learners and vocabulary, I've already taken up. I'll reinforce those tomorrow so that you also try to benefit from that. So be a good listener. For listening skills, we too need to be well equipped with our listening skills and not interrupt the child even if he's gone wrong somewhere. They're after all children. They're trying their hard. They're struggling with certain skills. It's okay. We won't don't be very harsh on them or be very judgmental if their grammar goes haywire or if their pronunciation goes little bit here and there. It's okay. They're learning. They're not native speakers, remember. Okay. So nod your head, smile, give supporting signals and words which encourage them, and don't snub them, so because that will make them go back into their shell and it will be very difficult to bring them out again. There are a couple of children in my class who told me, ma'am, I forced them to come up. Naveen ma'am, like you were asking, an excellent child, I remember his name also, AP Akash. I told him, you have to come and speak for extempo. Ma'am, he's getting 75 plus in his written exam. When I asked him to speak, he just cried. He said, ma'am, nobody's ever told me to speak. And when I tried to speak, they told me, keep quiet. And I'm very scared of talking. This happens to the best of us. Somewhere we have been snubbed. So it's our responsibility to make sure each and every child who comes to our class gets the opportunity to speak. Right? That, like you said, some children are over enthusiastic. Tell them, I want you to come here and mind and tell me where they went wrong. Give them that kind of a responsibility so that they don't have a chance to interrupt. Give them some vital responsibility. Okay, you give points to this child, that child. Okay. So that is one thing. And please make sure that you give a lot of space to make mistakes and make your classroom a safe place to make mistakes so that they don't make blunders later. I'll keep repeating this phrase. It's my favorite one. Okay. Make your classroom a place to make mistakes. It's fine. Make it safe. The child should feel confident that even if they make mistakes, you are not going to take it forward to the next minute also. Correct him there and then and forget about it. So that he understands. And
I keep repeating this every time in a class.
You like that, right? Yeah.
Error is in human.
Yeah. And very correct. That's so nice. Yeah. So make them comfortable. See, your entire personality should, give them positive vibes and make them feel happy and comfortable about learning. Then only the transfer of learning will take place in a positive way. Okay. Then the last slide is, don't expect your students to process information if it is lengthy, out of context, or not particularly interesting to them. Okay. You should know what will capture their interest. Like what I showed you was a weather forecast. It's something very general. They have read it in their social book, social science book, geography book. They have seen it on TV. They're very familiar with the context, right? It was not something that I just gave out of the blue. Okay. So focus on building learning comprehension skills in a fun and supportive way. And remember to always be patient. That is our forte. We all have to be patient. Our profession cannot go on without our patience, right? We require a tremendous amount of willpower, self-motivation, patience to deal with young minds, right? So we'll change our attitude here and there, fine-tune ourselves, tweak our learnings, and make it as far as possible child-friendly. Forget about how we have been taught. We have to take this generation forward, isn't it? So this set of students need our support at every level, especially after the troubled times that they faced last 2 years. So let's make our learning, funning. See, I said a compound word, fun and learning. Okay, something that they cherish and they look forward to. Once you change your attitude and make it fun and activity based, tell them Friday afternoon, wherever you're going, okay, or on Fridays you keep a day for, especially now that we have enough time before the exams. Obviously, sometime before the exams, we don't have time for so much of activity based learning. But now we have some time as we start the new session. Make your Fridays a day to keep them aside for doing all these activities, okay? You will find a sea change in your students and their learning capacity, and you will see that widening slowly, even with the slow learners. Okay, I will stop here. So what I'm going to do is, to continue with this, I will give you 2 short activities today. Okay, one is yesterday's, okay, and the two which I'll give today, one is going to be another video on the use of plastics, okay, which you can also share with your students. It will help you, in a lot of ways. Socially, you're making them aware of becoming responsible citizens. 1, 2, you are telling them the harmful effects of using plastic, and 3, also showing them how harmful it is to the marine life when we just dump everything in the ocean. And 4, of course, listening skills. What we're talking about, listening and comprehending skills will, help you take your students to another level. So that is for listening skills, and I will just post some, reading material on experiential learning and value-based learning along the time. I'll give you enough time to go through it. That need not be done today itself, but start doing it because it's a longer material. So I don't expect you to come prepared for it tomorrow. Since this was a short one on critical thinking, I thought it'll be enough. If you just spend 15 minutes of your time today on the video which I posted yesterday, you will be able to answer whatever I've given below. And today, the plastic video, you need to analyze it and frame 3 questions on the weather one, the listening skill which I gave for the weather now, and 3 questions for the plastic video, the video on the plastic consumption, right? Can you do that? No issues? Just to make you help you understand.
Yes, ma'am, we will do.
Yeah, and as you do it, keep the higher order thinking in mind. Is there something that you're asking them in a personalized way? How will you, I'm giving you the answer. How will you try to bring down the consumption of plastic and put up an awareness campaign in your school or in your community? That is the learning. That is a critical thinking. Did you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything, or ask them first, is there anything that you would love to do to bring about a change in your community on the use of plastics? Then ask the child. You can ask it in an open forum in the class. Then tell them, okay, put it on paper, like I'm asking you. Okay, they could, we had something like a rally. I would like to share this with you. We had something like a rally on all these environmental changes. Sometime back, we had a project. I don't know whether you are a part of that Surusha project. And we had a small rally in which all these 50, 60 odd students held a placard carrying a message on saving our earth and, about global changes and global warming and environmental issues. They had some message on a placard and they went around on every floor in every class creating an awareness, right? we had this rally, which I thought some of you who are enterprising enough can share it and suggest it to your management and do it. You know, children love such activity. One day it gets them out of the class, right? It gets them to interact, and they feel very important when they're holding a placard and exhibiting some message, isn't it? So, and they also learn to follow it. You tell them how you followed, follow back the activity and ask them, how did you incorporate that in your, learning?